teams will just pick random things outside of... There's the Rengar top, by the way. Where you have like half the league is kind of picking effectively whatever they feel like is I won't say meta, but whatever their comfort picks are, right? Whatever you're not sort of throwing yourself off comfort, where maybe you don't know the lane matchup so well. And you have the top side of the league where they're normally playing what, the Division 1 or the very top regions are. But we're in picks and bans. Rengar moved away from Icy Gale, not too surprising. And of course, the Jinx, the Caitlyn, we've seen a whole bunch of that globally.
And so far, as you were saying, like this is the specific, the stable ones. Probably we can see some focus on there we go, Karma for that bot side, just pushing it in and trying to outplay those carries. But Jinx being removed, this is something that we're not used to seeing. Like we see most of the time like the B1 Jinx, but the ban on the Jinx makes me question, like we still have the Jhin, more utility carries going to the bot side and probably getting those carries on the top side and the mid side, as you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Normally, the Jinx is something that you would, effectively either leave up entirely, not be one, or pick it yourself, and then you're happy to trade out the champions. As the weeks have gone on in pro play, it seems like teams are very happy to trade out these AD carries. Renekton B1 and immediate Jack's response. Icy Gale is not messing around. As soon as he sees that Renekton, of course, it still technically can be flexed mid, so there's room for Lightside here to try and get a counter pick into that Jax if they so want it. And of course, I think Aphelios probably makes the most sense out of all the AD carries left up in the pool. Though if London United do lock it, in which they do, I would expect Lightside to answer with something like the Jhin, and then probably their jungler here for Sikta.
And at this point, if you're looking onto London, obviously you need like a utility mid laner, because you have two hyper carries. Like you have mixed damage on the top side with Jax. It's not only physical, you bring a lot of magical damage to the field as well. Aphelios is an hyper carry of his own with the 200 years, blah blah blah. And now you need some utility, some lockdown, probably something on the support. On the other side is going to be the Thresh. This is amazing to lock down Aphelios, because now what can he bring into the matchup that is going to protect this hyper carry?
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing, right? It's a takeaway from the Aphelios lane, and on top of that, in general, Thresh is just a very stable pick, which is very hard to punish in a lot of lanes. The only thing that can really deal with it is normally that Nautilus insider lane, sometimes as well. Of course, the Leona can work too. Jarvan, at the same time, just kind of works as well. There's no Thresh now to sort of flay the Jarvan out of the EQs on the bottom side ganks, so really strong rotation here from Lightside, if you ask me, and I think now it's probably gonna be Dunlosi's pick. I would imagine you're happy as London United to let a couple of those supports go. I think the support matchup, important, but it feels like you're always seeing jungle picked in 1 through 3. Maybe London United will make me eat my words. Who knows? As a time is ticking, hovering the Seraphine, they actually land on the Poppy, which that is a Dunlosi special. So, Poppy is something Dunlosi's played for a little while, and obviously you can imagine into the Jarvan, it's really obnoxious. You just pop your Steadfast Presence. Jarvan can't EQ anywhere, so you stand on top of your carries. It makes it very difficult for Jarvan to engage. And right now, there's technically 3 champions with dashes, so that Steadfast Presence has a lot of value.
Everybody wants to jump, but Poppy just says no. It's no, please stay away. Social distancing. I was thinking about the Shinzo, like he's able to push people away, but this one is amazing. Yeah. I love this. It's a spicy one. The Ziggs is going to be removed as well, so there's no push against the Aphelios. Some answers may still occur on the light side.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at another bottom side ban here for London United, I think you're probably looking at Jhin, unless you want to remove away another mage, but I don't really feel like there's anything that you would want sort of gone immediately. And you don't want to hit on the mid lane pool because you're still looking to pick up your mid laner yourself. So I think London United, very comfortable the position. They're going to actually remove away the Victor, so that says to me, all right, maybe Crusade just doesn't want to allow FireP to sort of have this potential safe lane, especially with the Corki gone as well. You just want to remove away that sort of staple safe lane matchup entirely. Now Lightside looks like they're just going to take away the Twisted Fate, so I think London United makes the most sense to just hold on to the mid lane pick here. They still have plenty of support options because it was Lightside that go for the mid lane bans instead. So Divinus, I would imagine, probably leans on the Nautilus. This is one of his favorite champions. If not, I would imagine the Leona, unless they want to go for something super safe, but I think they need a little bit of engagement. It will be that.
There we go. Nautilus is going to join the field. This is perfect for them. Now they have protection. Now they have tankiness. They also have disengaged. Poppy just can remove the front line. So even if you pick Jhin, you will not be able to protect him unless you save the Lantern for the later stage of the team fight. This should be a good one. This is a good way to just go into the backline and just annoy Aphelios, because no one can stop Flex on the middle of the flight. Let's see if this is going to be the pick for Lightside. It actually is. And now they have to reveal the entire team. What do you reckon?
Yeah, and I mean, we saw what a Vex can do yesterday in that M&M
Yeah.
game as Aurora kind of was putting on an absolute clinic. So, but if you can pull off a performance like that, then I think Lightside should be okay. Time is ticking. Like I said, yeah, you mentioned the Jin as well. We've mentioned Jin for a little while. Maybe Sanya doesn't lean on it, but I think it might be just the safest pick right now. You've got a bunch of dive.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
oh, I'm in love.
Yeah, all right. I mean, Swain's obviously a very interesting one. I'm not too sure how the lane itself will go. He doesn't particularly have a very strong laning phase. It's been a while since I've seen a Swain, so maybe my memory is a little bit fogged. But if you're talking about moving forward and you know, sort of catching up with the rest of the very quick dive, it might be a little bit difficult for Swain. But if he actually is on top of this Jarvan Cataclysm, the Vex dive in, honestly, it's so much AoE, which is going to be very hard to deal with. And Kusei is just going to say, all right, we've got all of this mid priority. Yes, Jarvan's going to be very annoying to deal with. I'm just going to go for the hyperscaling inside the Cassidus. So Lundqvist United across the board, all three lanes right now, they've got this hyperscaling, pretty much weighing 2 items plus. In Cassidus' case, it's level 16. And Lightside, they've got loads of aggressive options. So this is going to be a game of, can Lightside execute in time and, you know, sort of stomp on these side lanes, stomp on the Cassidus, and make sure he can't scale up in time before, you know, London United effectively get to play the game. So it's going to be one of those, all right, you know, get the timers going, level 16, 0 out of 16 in chat. Because, yeah, when Caston's in the game and there's not like a crazy amount of point and click hard CC, I think, you know, he could be in for a bit of a free time.
This is a time trial, yeah. Lightside need to get this top side working, because if you leave Renekton like failing in the beginning of the game, obviously Jax is just going to take the line, and now you don't have that physical damage to the late game, because aside from that, everything is magical. I like the Swain though. The Swain can go into the late game. The items nowadays are amazing for Swain. I don't know what sort of build is going to go. Is he going Leanders with Demonic, and is going for the more tanky Swain, just demolishing your HP percentage-wise, or is going for ability power? I like to see that, because I used to spam a little bit of the Swine in the previous season. It was like easy diamond achievement, because Swine is really good as a support. But now if you bring him as a carry, now you need like presence of mind, for instance. Or are you going for that tier as well, and you need to scale for the late game? Are you going to bring the Fumbled Winter to get that CC and additional shield? Or you want the Archangel to get that sustain? A lot of questions in terms of itemization for this Swine.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at over a couple of the itemizations. A lot of the time, it seems to be Leandries for a large majority of build paths into Zhonya's, because that just makes sense. And then, honestly, a lot of variation. Sometimes see the Demonic Embrace, sometimes see the Rylai's, which again, you know, massive AoE slowdown. So yeah, curious to see how the Swain is going to end up itemizing. Because again, it's not a champion we see too often in pro play. We've had, you know, a bit of a makeover again with some of the mage items in Season 12. Of course, we're very familiar with things like, you know, the current Ludens into Shadowflame build, where you just get a bunch of magic pen and you kind of one-tap people with some of the burst mages. Swain doesn't really fit that profile, so he's definitely going to go a little bit off the norms in terms of what we see in mage build paths at the moment.
My question for Swain is: Poppy is one champion that is going to annoy Swain unless he times the Zonias as he should. Because the idea that you want to be on the face of the enemies and someone can just push you away,
Yeah.
and your ultimate is wasted, because you have to continuously use it. It's not like, even Renekton, for instance, you need to use the ultimate continuously. It's not like Vex. You just go in, do the damage, it's done. My cooldown pops off. No, it's like a continuous ultimate that you need to use. And Poppy can just deal with those two guys. So Poppy, at the end of the day, is one of the most interesting picks to me on this champion select, because it can deal with a lot of players on the other side.
Yeah, and I think not only that, there's a lot of pressure on Dunlosi's hands in this game anyway, or his shoulders rather. Well, I guess his hands technically, it's League of Legends as well. Because he's got 3, you know, scaling lanes, which, you know, in normal circumstances will usually want a fair amount of resources. And he's on low economy Poppy, who's probably going to be running around with Predator to try and salvage his lanes and make sure they're not being constantly attacked by the Jarvan. So Poppy is going to be a big deal here, not only in the early game, but like you said, in the mid game, right? Knocking away things like the Swain, knocking away things like the Renekton off the back line. It's going to be a very, very big point of interest in these team fights, because if he can't, and then, you know, you have the Renekton and the Swain of all this backline access, then yeah, I think London United are going to struggle until we sort of see that 2 item spike for the Aphelios, the 2 item spike for Jax. And then, of course, we're still talking about that level 16 for Caston. I think once he hits level 11, they'll still be able to team fight, but it's still going to be very, very difficult pre that sort of 20-minute mark.
And then comes the question, like, what is the mythic that Poppy is going to bring? Obviously, the Divine Sundered along with the Q, it's percentage damage. It's going to be amazing. But there we go. We got the bird's eye of the rip for the first game of the NLC Division 2. It's going to be a beautiful one. And talking about birds, birds is the word because this is a Conqueror Swain. So obviously, Presence of Mind is in game. I don't think he needs a tier. This is going to be a spicy one, Jamada.
Yes, it is indeed. He's going to be stacking up all of that AP, looking to play out those very, very long team fights. So let's get a look immediately. The junglers both starting on the bottom side, so likely to end up on the top side of the map. We'll see whether we get any kind of interesting pathings. Maybe Victor wants to go sort of like red to blue and then Grump and then path back down. You never know. As think Dunlow more likely to go for the full clear. I think a lot of the times, unless Poppy has a very, very, volatile lane to immediately be present in, you will see Poppies go for that very, sort of 28 camp clear, just because you can actually clear a lot faster than you would imagine on the Poppy. As Icy Gale, he knows the limits of this champion inside the early stages, trying to get all of those trades in as fast as he can. As a little bit of connection here.
It's the first attack coming in for Sino. Obviously, just out of it attacking away, and Zed is just forced to go back. Obviously, yes, those weapons that are going to bring him a little bit of the sustain, but the lane now is in favor of the blue side. That is going to be the death sentence again, just dragged on the floor. And this is the combo between Thresh and Swain. So it's really easy to push people in with the passive of Swain.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And Javelin looks like pathing up towards the top side, maybe eyeing up Icy Gale, see if they can get any kind of CC. But I don't think Svene actually has the stun locked and ready. So yeah, flash away. Still a successful gank for Victor. Can't really complain too much here. As another pull onto KZ. That's a cleanse blown.
They're trying to force the flash. They're trying to force the cleanse. Everything is forced from the bot lane. And now Aphelios is just stuck on the turret. He's forced to just heal himself with the minions, which means another engage may appear on the bot side. This could be the first blood for the bot side because both junglers are on the top side. So they're pretty much alone on the London side.
Yeah, they are indeed. They are alone. Very much so. KZ now with no flash as well. It's going to make him vulnerable to maybe sort of that level 6 mark from FighterP and Victor if they both decide to move down there. And FighterP should always have priority here for Lightside. So that's going to be a point of pressure that London United are going to have to deal with consistently, where they're never going to have mid lane priority. Their mid laner should almost never move first, the Kassadin. So KZ, he's going to have to lane quite carefully. He's already run out of his pots on that longsword start. Still has a little bit of the red gun left, but certainly nowhere near as healthy as the light side laners, especially you think about Sanya has 2 pots still left. So it's going to be very difficult for the next couple of minutes until they can find a reset timer.
It's a push on the bot side, and probably with that cheeky recall going for the first item. No, Silence just wants to push it in non-stop. At this time, he doesn't want to go back. This would be the perfect recall because they have no idea where the Poppy is. And by the way, talking about the Poppy, as Victor was forcing that gank on the top side so much that he's forcing, like, he's losing a little bit in terms of farm in the jungle. We're talking about 9 minions. And on the top side, obviously, Jax will just come through with those minions. Like, he will recuperate on these minions. You can see the wave stacked up towards Icy Gale, so it's not that troublesome.
Yep, exactly. Icy Girl, not too fast, has a pretty decent lane state. Like you say, he will catch up in CS. Still a little bit down, but not as bad as the numbers right now make it out to be. Probably in reality only about like sort of 3, maybe 4 tops down, which in a Alexa lane anyway, you're going to be pretty comfortable with, even at the 5-minute mark. It does make a lot of sense. And Icy Gale, again, very comfortable on the champion. He's going to know when he cannot actually trade and make fights happen around that Renekton lane. Unfortunately for him, even though he did have the base, he didn't actually end up using his TP, so he's shouldn't really, for the remainder of the laning phase, fall too far behind his counterpart in Sven 8. Dragon spawned up though. I'm definitely thinking that Lightside should be the ones to pick that one up, given how much priority they've had in the bottom side. And of course, the Kassadin being the mid laner, it does make sense that Lightside should just have constant pressure in the mid lane. For now, Crusade can technically have priority, but I just feel like it's not necessarily an objective that London United want to play for.
One thing that is popping on my eyes is the fact that, like, on the bot side, Saina is just ignoring that tier because he knows with the presence of mind that's more than enough to get the mana flowing in the middle of a team fight, especially with Liliandris. So he's going straight for that mythic. That's going to be a power spike because he doesn't need to stack up the tier like on the other side. On London, you need on the mid line, you need that tier. You need the failures to get some time. Jax as well. So you were talking about the 3 scaling lanes. And on the bot side, you don't need that Swain to stack up. It's going to deal damage whether he has a lot of items, a lot of farm or not. Leanders is percentage-wise, unless you build a lot of magic resist.
Yeah, exactly. The champions here that London United have drafted are reliant on those item spikes, whereas for Lightside, honestly, they can work off their bases a lot. Their scaling isn't, anywhere near as high as London United's is, but I don't necessarily feel like they're on a crazy hard timer. That being said, I think as soon as Caston hits level 16, that statement goes completely out the window. So, actually, I'll take it back. No, they are on a bit of a hard time on Lightside. They do need to get things going. But for now, I think they're relatively comfortable 6 minutes in. I think it's once you get that Herald spawned up, that's when you want to start to get some sort of snowball pressure in with the tower plates, with the tower takedown, and maybe you get some lane rotations in. Try and move the Swain maybe to where you want to skirmish, and try and keep Svene's TP up so you can always have numbers advantage on the map to make those fights work.
We got the first dragon of the division right now. It's going to be the Ocean one. I can't quite see what the second one is.
I think because it's invisible, that means it's either Chemtech or Hextech, and I think we just got a quick glance. It is the Chemtech dragon, which it's been disabled on live.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
Okay. Meanwhile, on top side, it's going to be the first appearance of this Poppy knocking up Sven. He's forced to use his ultimate. Counter-Strike is there. You're not allowed to go anywhere. This is first blood spilled in favor of London United.
Yeah, and there we go. Lundqvist finds some action for himself finally, and it's in the top side where he finds Svene. I think just trying to get a ward down, to be honest with you. Wrong place, wrong time for the light side top laner, and Lundqvist rightfully so punishes. They're not going to be able to pick up anything else off it, but it is just that first blood gold. Now it's a dive on the bottom side.
Look at the Swine just popping the damage. He's taking the turret. The lantern is not enough, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. And now Jax is just going to teleport, get the counter-strike. Divino stops inside of the blast cone, gets the follow-up, going for the second one, but the Prince is able to just get away. Icy Gale still looking for the second one. Divino is waiting for the Q cooldown. Oh, the counter-strike is not available. That's a TP, but that's a really late TP for Sina to try and get something bad. He got the first kill on the bot side, but still, it cost his life.
Yeah, really close there to also potentially finding Pluck. Divinus was, but I think, like you said, like you called out the cooldown just a little bit too much. Looks like Crusader's going to have to reset. And yeah, as soon as KZ had to blow both those summoners earlier on, we spoke about it immediately. Those dives towards the bottom side for Svictor. Yes, 5EP wasn't there. And yes, the dive was a little bit messy, but they still found their target. They still made him miss that massive wave. He's 10 CS down right now. Going to catch up a little bit off of that wave that Sanya just pushed in. We're going to have a replay come up on our screen just to get
I will not What's the hurry?
away. The rest of the light side members by London United weren't able to find any more kills, though.
It was almost a perfect dive, but it was Swine tanking the turret, and he still doesn't have that stopwatch. And that is a set for him, but at least got the kill. On top side, Sven and Icy Gale looking at each other through the bushes. Obviously, they have no idea where they are. Sven now just waiting for the Q to be popped.
Yeah.
And there we go. Now you don't have that cooldown. You can just jump on top of him, forcing the ultimate so early. Sven wants to fight this, but Icy Gale obviously is just running away and laughing because he got the bait.
Yeah, exactly. Icy Gale clearly just looking for a light trade there. And Svene, I guess, yeah, just ate the bait. Felt like he was going to get all in on. And as soon as ultimate comes out, Icy Gale just says, all right, I'm leaving now. That's it. No more fight for you. That's fighting on your terms. I'm happy to fight on my terms and mine alone. So now Svene not going to have that extra layer of protection for now. Lundqvist snuck himself into the alcove. Potentially looking towards his Raptors at the very least. So it's a little whiles away, though. He could make it in time if action breaks out just this instant. It's going to be a long con for Lundqvist.
Ozzy just waiting for it. Meanwhile, the cooldown on the ultimate for Swain is available. He's going to pop it up, but Dunsley just deletes Pluck away. Sina looking for help. Dodges the ultimate from Xen. Here comes the Jarvan. Gets the Cataclysm. Locking down every single one for the damage. Here comes Fax to take it away. Looking for the reset city. They take 3 for the price of 1.
Yeah, And it's a long con for London United. You could see how much they wanted to make that gank work. They blow up Pluck. Yes, it's not Aftershock Pluck like what you would see, or Aftershock Fresh rather, like you would see in Season 11. But at the end of the day, Sanya's able to stay alive long enough. So Victor was on the bottom side to respond. And we've spoken about all game how FireP is going to have mid lane priority into Kusi just because of the matchup. And he makes it to the bottom side skirmish first. And it's a complete wash after the initial pickup from London United. Yes, they pick up Pluck, but they lose everybody else for it and the tower.
So much money going in for the pockets of Sina. This is a Leandris already. Look into the mid lane as well. We have 3 mythic items on the other side. London only have the Divine Thunder on a Poppy. So the difference now is huge. And we can expect a lot from this way now.
Yeah, and this is where things start to get a little bit scary for London United. You go for your proactive play, it doesn't work. Now all of a sudden the rest of Lightside pretty much all have their first items completed. Obviously, yes, Svene is still working towards it, but now you're at a point where you just can't fight Lightside for a very, very long time. And now you have to do your best to sort of slowly bleed out any golden objectives that you can. I say that though, they're still looking for a dive on the top side. A little bit overeager though, it seems.
They look for it, but they're not gonna get it. Okay, the chem tank was done. I was looking at the dragon like, you should be disabled. You shouldn't exist. We're going to have the X-Tech now. We're going to have those portals, allowing Swain and Vex to have those... Oh, this is a good one. Almost gets the root. Look at the Kassadin just walking towards the crocodile. He wants the stun, but he's just not able to connect it. And this is so much confidence coming in from Lightside. As soon as they got the turret, they now know that they can just roam across the map.
Yeah, they know. All they have to do is press tab and just say, all right, our champion is stronger than London United. Pretty much do whatever we want for now. And yeah, just moving around the map. I think KZ on the bottom side is holding a freeze, so that is technically, you know, at least a bit of reprieve here for London United. It's now actually going to slow push out. Couldn't quite hold it for a very long time. So now once this wave goes out, London United, they're going to be in a bit of trouble because it's now not a safe place for KZ to farm. Lightside are also as well towards this mid lane, just stacking up 3. They just say, okay, you know, there's a wave stacking in the bottom side, yes, but we don't have to catch it for a very long time. Goodness.
They're going to get one. The fear connects. The damage isn't real. He's forced to pop the stopwatch. Oh, no, you're not going anywhere. Blocked.
Man, Dunlosi, I mean, we spoke about the importance of the pick, right? Steadfast presence, it keeps his support alive in this instance. Knocks away 2 members. Sanya, very nice and cheeky with that stopwatch to stop himself from being knocked towards his base, but isn't quite enough to actually secure any more kills. But again, now we're speaking about that bottom side wave that was being stacked up. FireP's gone to go and collect it. So Lightside, they don't really lose out on too many resources for this, and they chunk out the mid lane tower to the point where it's practically dead on maybe, you know, 1 siege or 2. If there's one thing I will say though, sieging may be a little bit difficult. I think you're looking mostly at dives from the Lightside side, simply because, I mean, you don't really have like a long range sort of poke champ here. Yes, you have Vex, but you know, she's more interested in going directly into these skirmishes. As Ice Gale eats a stun. Now actually full-blown fight potentially.
He doesn't have the medic, but if you look into Icy Gale, he's running really, really low. He's looking for that sustain with the Fate as well, looking for the assistance. Oh, you jump in, but he got baited in by the counter-strike. Really good timing, and obviously that's the stat B.
Oh man, alright, Svene's on my heart as well. The B emotes are by far my favorite. That was a real nice reaction though from Icy Gale. He just reads it. As soon as Svene walks out that bush, yeah, he's gonna flash try and stun me here. Been there, done that, seen this Renekton trick once or twice, and now it's Victor actually coming up towards the top side as well. I'm not sure if they're eyeing up a dive, maybe the tower as the rest of the light side also fog towards the top side. Just trying to put some pressure down onto London United. They know that mid lane tower almost dead. They want to try and focus on that top side tower as well. Securing this Herald is also going to set them on that road a lot quicker.
One thing we didn't talk about is the fact that on light side, they have 3 teleports. So this is going to be a good way to deal with the Kassadin in the late game, to rotate people, looking into those hyper carries. Even if you lose a battle, you can just recall and you're not going anywhere, Jarvan. You're locked in, but the Lantern is going to shine a light on his way. They lose the objective, but that's pretty much what they're going to lose. Now let's see how London is going to use this Herald.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think this just is a huge takeaway. I don't even care how London United use it, to be honest with you. If they get gold out of it, great. The fact that they now sort of stimmy the bleeding a little bit, stop Lightside from being able to snowball any more pressure than they already have been, I think is absolutely massive for this team comp. So, well played for London United. They just throw the numbers at the objective. I think Lightside a little bit too lax, just thinking, all right, you know, we've got the item advantage right now. They're not going to really put too much effort into contesting. And unfortunately, read the map wrong. London United send everybody for it. And like you say, yeah, I will be a little bit interested to see how they use the Herald, but I mean, if you take a look at all the tier 1s on the light side end of things, they're all pretty much full HP. So it will be very hard to necessarily lock down a tower unless they find a straight fight, team fight win rather, into that. As Svene doing his best to get some trades in, but now that Jax has that Divine Sunderer, it is just really, really difficult to trade into him. Icygale maybe even eyeing up the dive. He's got to be very cautious, of course, of the ultimate, but you can tell just by the posturing, he's like, okay, I can force out the ultimate, I can just force him to base, one of the two. But Svene just respects it all in all. However, in the mid lane, Lightside will find their mid lane tier 1, and they can probably turn this into a third dragon at 17 minutes.
The setup becomes the vision for Lightside. And while we're waiting for this objective, I would like to talk to you about this Liandry's on Cassidy. Yeah, I was looking into the Shattered Queen. Like, I thought the crown was going to appear or something like that, or even any other item. But the Liandry's?
Yeah, Liandry's definitely strikes me as curious. I feel like normally, in most cases now, it is just, like you said, the Shattered Crown. That's pretty much what we see in, I would imagine, sort of like close to 90% of games. I feel like some Castins are still stuck on that Everfrost build as well. Of course, Everfrost still a very strong item on Kassadin, but I think the amount of utility that Crown gives you, where, you know, you Riftwalk in and you get that sort of, you know, second and a half where you just don't really take any damage. It almost always gives you a second Riftwalk unless you get CC'd. So yeah, definitely an interesting choice. I guess there is a lot of HP being built as Sanya.
Forced to flash away. Meanwhile, Dunsley is just chasing it away. He has a Predator. He's not able to connect him to the wall. On the other side, though, Nautilus is going to pay the price. It's going to be a 1-for-1 as the Death Sentence connects. And now Fatty P looking for the reset city. Goes into the middle of the lane. Here comes Brandon's long. Double kill. Looking for the triple. He fancies it. Tries to get the fear throwing in. The counter-strike is there to help him. And he's forced to just flash away. And Fatty P, look at him running. He's a dog looking for the bone, biting everyone to get 8 kills towards Lightside.
Yeah, Lightside, they pick up 4 in this exchange, 8 now in total. They lead the kill score by 4, and they will take this mid lane tier 2. I mean, honestly, it didn't look too terrible for London United at the beginning, but it's that London by pluck to bring Svene into the rest of the team, and the complete mincing of London United in the mid lane after the fact, which just completely throws it awry for them. London, or Lightside rather, take complete control again of the game. Sit 3,500 gold up. Mid lane tier 2 taken now means that they can pretty much have complete control of what side of the map that they want to go to. Even with the mid tier 1, they pretty much had that, and we've seen it for the last sort of 5-6 minutes or so. But now that problem is going to be exacerbated for London United. And they're going to have to really, really work hard to try and hold on to this game. Because again, a whole bunch of scaling, which is still very much present. But it's going to take such a long time for London United to get there, especially when they're not going to necessarily have very safe places to farm and get all of this experience from.
And they have the hyper carry composition, which makes me wonder.
The team can't really match that, as actually I think we just had an engage. I heard the audio cue for a flash, and oh, okay, Icygale in a 1v1 here.
1v1 kind-ish, because Swain used the W, so it's kind of cheating.
Yeah,
like, I fought you 1v1, but I have assistance from the backline. You know, we don't talk about those. This is a spicy game, by the way. Good start for the second division of the NLC. We're looking for the soul already. 20 minutes in. As we were talking about the time trial for Lightside, they're doing it. They're working the time, and they're building defensive items as well. You see 2 Zhonya's coming in. The Vex is just popping off. Fatty P just controlling the team fights. I don't know if Trouble is watching, but probably if she is, she's just screaming really loud because she loves Vex. I know, I can listen like to the hotel.
Enthusiast, yes.
She is. You have no idea. As soon as we go to the green screen, she's like, yeah, go Vex! Like some sort of his voice, I don't know. But she's working wonders for this team.
Yeah, no, honestly, she is. And with that, Zhonya's picked up. is going to be very, 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 you know, it's just going to be even more irritating, actually, to drop the Vex down, simply because she's already one-shotting most of the team. Then you additionally have that stasis on top of it. It's just going to be very, very curious for London to even find the time to actually deal with the Vex and the Swain as well. Same kind of context, right? You walk in as the Swain, and then just Sonya's, it's very hard to deal with. And at this moment in the game where, you know, we're 1 minute away from this Dragon Soul point, Hextech, in its own right, still very much a very strong soul. Might not be quite at the Chemtech levels, but I feel like I remember looking at the win rates for the Dragon Souls during preseason, and Hextech was actually the second one. The second highest, rather.
It's really strong. Not
so
only in
yeah,
terms
as you'd
of
imagine,
ability,
yeah, it's still quite strong. Technically now the strongest now that Chemtech is on live removed. So if Lightside do pick this up, I think London United, they're really going to struggle even more than they are. And I mean, just looking at the inventories, they don't have the items to match. They just don't. They're still sitting at 1 item. Looking at Divinus maybe, but I think it should be okay. Looking at a team fight where you're effectively looking pretty much at 1 item, 2 items now in the case of Kusei, against an item and a half, 2 items and a half. The items are just mismatched right now for London United, so they're gonna have to find a pick and try and prey on a numbers disadvantage. But it doesn't even look like they're really posturing for it. I think they know the kind of trouble they're in. If they try and contest this, they will just outright lose.
They're just giving away. They probably want some turrets and giving away the soul, but obviously it's going to be Lightside just running a little bit to the top side to make sure that the Baron is not even an opportunity for the London team. But talking about the items, we do see the Archangels now being completed. Setup's Embrace is now on Kusei's inventory, which makes me wonder what sort of build this is, because on the live servers I've seen a lot of Humble Winter along with the Crown as well, that more defensive, that you can just be like a bruiser in the middle of a team fight with Kassadin just stacking up the ultimate and then deleting everybody on the backline. But he's going for the old school build. I don't know if it's going to work because he has to be a really good carry alongside with the Jax and Aphelios. And talking about hyper carry, we haven't seen this team, London United, being united on a team fight and making the entire composition work.
Yeah, no, not just yet. It's still going to take a little while, unfortunately, for London United. And yeah, on the Kassadin build, I mean, I think when you're the sole AP, I don't mind it, right? I think if you opt into those kind of closer to tank builds, then yeah, you might sort of like struggle in that damage department. But yeah, for now, I think we'll have to see how it actually pans out for Kusei and how much damage he's able to get out in these team fights with that massive sort of AP spike that he's now found himself with. Lightside, though, with all the pressure, the Hextech Soul, they're just looking at Baron, and I think London United, they're just in no position to even contest this right now. They do have the teleport from Kusei, but it's going to have to be a miracle still from Dunlosi. I think they're just going to chuck it up to a 50-50.
There is only the support. The flash is available. The team is trying to isolate him. 2000 HP. Will he fancy it? He gets rooted on the ground. They stop it a little bit much. Poppy just looking at it. Flashes in. Tries to steal it. Is not capable of doing so. In the meanwhile, it's a push on the bottom side. But the recall is there with the Baron buff.
Yeah, recall Baron buff is going to be pretty much here instantly. And now Icy Girl going to have to be forced to run away. Clipped by that Swain W, but I think he should be okay to get out here.
Oh, they're using the gates.
Oh, the gates. They're here.
They're being useful! They're trying to shake Jax away. Kusei obviously will be able to run away. He's a Kassadin, so no one will be able to stop him. They're just trying to divert the tension using all the missiles. No, I'm here. And they actually are confident they're going to run away. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is just going into the mid side and trying to get that push flowing in. And this is like what? A 4-1 push?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much 4-1. You can allow Jarvan to sort of sit between both lanes, but actually, it's more turning out to be a bit of a 2-2-1 kind of situation as, all right, KZ forced to flash, Gale force as well. Icy Gale.
Ooh, Icy Gale was doing the recall, not even looking into the AD carry, and now he's paying the price for not listening to his team, like the cry for help. Meanwhile, the bot side is just going to get pushed. It is no longer one on the bot side. It's a 5-man squad getting all the control, all the vision, and the push flowing in as well. They're looking into the inhibitor, but, well, on the other side, they do have some sort of wave clear. Will they be able to use it, though?
I mean, it's very limited, and I think it's Baron buff. It's going to be very difficult to get these waves down. So this kind of minion, and the fact that Sven is actually just able to walk up already, I think is very telling of the hole that London United find themselves in and how big the lead is for Lightsiders. This is just going to be an inhibitor going down. And they still have so much time left on the Baron buff too. Going to be able to transfer this pressure over to a different lane. Now you imagine, probably turn this into a second inhibitor, or at the very least, maybe crack open the base.
Maybe if they go to the mid lane because it's a little bit open, but obviously Icy Gale is just pushing it away, trying to get that wave of minions. Well, it's going to be Lightside trying to push him away. If they go to the top side, it will be perfect. Like in my opinion, if they go to the top side, but they still have to deal with the T1, T2, and then go to the inhibitor. KZ in jeopardy is going to cleanse the fear, but it's not the fear you should be worried about. It is the constant lockdown and utility of the entire team as Lightside are going to pick 2 and probably looking at the Nexus.
Yeah, I think so. This should probably be game two dead on London United. Not a lot of wave clear here. Baron buff still up. Waves crashing in eventually. It's not too big right now. Lundqvist going to try and knock somebody away, but fizzles out. Going to be on a reduced cooldown. But yeah, this should just be game Lightside. They just play a little bit slowly. At worst, they get a Nexus Tower or 2, but I think they're so strong they should just be able to take the fight after the fact.
It is like butter in a hot day. Icy Gale goes in. It's a perfect stun. It's a 5-minute stun, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's way too much damage on the Lightside team. Swain is just going, you know the bird is the word. KZ finally joins the team, but his body is going to join. He's going to become a body of himself as well, as Lightside just demolish everyone for a triple kill for this Swain. The turret goes down as well, as the Nexus is going to fall for the first game of Division 2 of the NLC.
Yep, Lightside find their first win of the split against London United here. And I think just dominant start to finish. I think the drafts, you know, it was always going to be like this. If you were able to get a snowball going, which Lightside did, they did it efficiently as well. You know, top to bottom, I think the only point of maybe concern was the top side where Isagale was definitely sort of, you know, keeping even in the Renekton lane, which is maybe not the best. But at the end of the day, I think London United, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. They had this hyperscaling top side, hyperscaling bottom side. I think you needed a mid laner that could actually keep up you know, with the kind of pressure that, you know, FIP was putting out on this Vex. And without that, you know, relying on that full-blown, all right, we're hoping the enemy team can't really execute and we just wait for our own scaling, it just allowed Lightside to play whatever version of the game that they wanted to the point where they just ended in 27 minutes with the first Baron.
Okay, and we are going to kick it off to a break. But by the way, Jamada, I missed this so much, by the way. I'm so
It's
happy.
good, isn't it? It's great. I
So
know.
good.
It's
I feel so warm. Okay, we're going to a quick break and we will be right back to you guys. Don't go anywhere.